Hello and welcome. Tuesday noon, my time. Marianne and I are here for our weekly conversation with the earth. And today,
Yes.
Marianne is taking it off.
Thank you, Karina. I'm so glad I'm here again with you. And yes, we spoke a little bit ahead of this live, and it was something about an energy that will be the subject for today as assuming and conclusion. And today, Karina, I ended up to fill in the survey for the certified facilitators class that's coming up within 2 weeks now. And from the start that it went out, I became so aware of all the assumings I had that I didn't acknowledge I had. As there is, like, yeah, during the years you hear about that it's a lot of work, that it is heavy, that it's nothing joyful, in a matter of speaking. It's nothing of that. And yes, I chose different, even though I became aware afterwards that I had taken that as, yeah, as a conclusion. All those assumings, I assumed in the background that it would be for me also. And I concluded ahead that it would be for me also. So I did have the expectations that it would be for me. So assuming is a huge energy that, yeah, there is so much in it. And for me, even more today, it's clear that we assume a lot in our life that we aren't aware of, that it is from start, that it is an assuming, that it is full of judgment, that it has expectations, that they are conclusions. It's yeah, it's like an automatic pilot that's not driving, but driving our life, and it's taking over, in a matter of speaking. I don't know. What are your experience with this energy of
You know,
assuming?
one thing I just became aware of, we are psychic. Is it actually our stuff? And just because it is a thought in our head, we assume that it is ours. And
Yeah,
then go from there with all the repercussions of whatever assumption we have. You
yeah. And
know,
can I pick in on that, because it's an energy that can be, you say it, we are so psychic that we hear all those thoughts, but we assume they are ours.
Mhm.
So because they are ours, we can't even catch that energy that we are assuming because
Yeah,
it's ours. Yeah.
yes,
Okay. Yeah.
that's where we default, and it's really, if you are willing to be energetically very aware and to be very present with yourself, you are not catching any of that. But what I have noticed is uh, being very present with it, or catching that whiff of energy, I would almost call it, because it's so slight and fast that comes through before we make it ours, because it's in our head. Because we concluded,
Yeah.
because somewhere way in the past we've come to judgments and use verbiage now that contains that judgment, and we're not even aware of the fact that we have judged previously. It's a really mixed ball of wax, you know.
It is. It is because it brings me to the question also, Karina, like assuming and that expectation I was speaking about.
Mhm.
What's the difference between expectation and assuming? Isn't it so that we glump a
Yeah,
lot of the different, a lot
yeah.
of the different energies? Oh yeah,
And
and
yeah,
go
no,
go.
go ahead.
So when I became aware of that assuming and that those expectations, etc., I really started to laugh, and I said, "Oh hell, like it's not anything of this is mine." And I went to Earth and I asked, really, how is that for you?
Mhm.
Is there any of assuming energy
Yeah,
notable in Earth? And then I laughed even harder because it was, oh yeah. And it was like a cartoon, a film like a cartoon that was passing in front of me, like, oh yeah, Earth is, let grows a flower there and does this and this. And then it is assuming that no one will touch it or no one will step on it or whatever it was. I was really laughing with this.
yeah. It's really, if we're willing to look at how we operate and how we are in life, and then look at how Earth operates, we're really funny creatures.
We
We
are.
are so funny creatures. I mean, I have, in all honesty, I have to laugh at myself, and in a way at my either stupidity or ridiculousness or superiority or whatsoever, when I actually go there and say, so how does Earth function with that?
Yeah. Yeah, and it is, Karina, when you allow yourself to sit with that, only with that question, how does Earth go with that? How does nature go with that?
Yeah.
It's nearly immediately that you get the insanity of the
Yes.
way you function.
Yes, that's a good word, the insanity.
Yes, it is. And that assuming because my partner came home and I really perceived he was really agitated and I asked what was up in his world. And then he started, and from all those conclusions and expectations and assuming that there was in his story, it took me really a lot of energy to hear what he was saying. And I said to him, Stop, sorry, I can't even hear you because there is so much energy, nothing about what is true, or there is a truth with a lot of lies attached in the
Yeah.
story. But because I was so present with all those energies, all those lies, as a sudden I became aware for myself, oh, I start to have more difficulties to listen. It was not hearing, it was listen, because it's automatically so truth. And then you hear the lies, you hear the assumings, you hear the conclusions, you hear the expectations. And I started to laugh. And it was weird for him because he was really like angry. And I was laughing. And I said, sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I'm not laughing with what you are saying. I'm only laughing with what I am perceiving and receiving now, because it's insane.
Yeah. It's almost comedic.
It is. It is. It is. And this morning, no, it was this afternoon with Saskia, I had a little live with Saskia, and she mentioned also that she started to look at films, or more films from beyond this reality, as we call it, as not buying in all those definitions and structures and forms, etc. And then what is assumed to be an inventation, futuristic or complete, invented.
Yeah.
To start to see, like, wow, but how much is this reality an invented reality? From all those definitions, from all those structures, from all those point of views, assumings.
I really liked what Shannon said on her contribution to the Global Bars Day, that if it's not real for an animal, it's not real. It's our invention. And what I then even became aware of, how much we put energy into proving the validity of our invention.
Wow. Can you expand a little bit more around this? Because that's a huge energy.
It came for me in connection with reading a psychological article, and I don't remember which one it was. But what I remember right now is the arguments in this article why something is the way it is.
Yeah.
And that's what I consider proving our invention. Finding evidence for it being correct and real.
Yeah. And isn't it so that there is assuming that you are correct? Exactly. Assuming that you're proving what you assume is correct.
And even starting with the fact that I am assuming that my invention actually exists.
Yeah. Yeah. And tapping into the earth now with this energy of proof. Does earth ever prove that she's right?
Earth knows things are as they are and that they are. There is no need to do anything with it.
Yeah. Do you know, Karina, something I get more and more every week, more and more out of those conversations we have is the space, the peace, the freedom. Mm-hmm. We can choose if we allow ourselves to be as earth instead of to be as our head. Yeah. Our head, most of the heads is, and most of our heads are around like a planet Earth, perhaps, but it's not functioning that well.
No, it's not. And you know, in all honesty, how much, if I look over my life, how much for most of my life have I been pressing everything through that sieve called brain?
And you are alone.
Or
you are the only one. You are the only one. You are the only one. No one did it before you and will never do it after.
No one else will do it. I'm the master at that. No one could do it better than me.
Yeah. So what do I have to invent now to prove you that you assume that you are the best in it?
And therefore you have the never-ending carousel.
Yes.
The perpetual go-around.
So true. So true. And that brings me like the joy I had today, because I was as a sudden also aware that, wait a minute, I made a different choice. As I am a person, always did it like pulling everything there to the last minute, because I can prove myself I can do it in a small amount of time.
Oh, yeah.
But this time, nothing of that was in my world. And I was asking myself, but where did that came from that I made another choice? And then I thought, but why do I have to get a proof or to get it rectified that I made another choice? I just made another choice, whatever. I don't have to make it significant. But what can I take out of it? And that was like, yeah, I made another choice, and that other choice really worked well, because that other choice wasn't from my head. And I had space, I had joy, I had ease. So what would it take to allow myself to choose more often different?
Yeah. And
Wow.
what just popped for me, being present with what's going on here for me, is how much do we assume that in order to be successful, we need to be focused on our work.
Oh, yes.
Like
Oh,
I'm,
yes.
for me, it's even, I realized I have access as part of my work, or, Earth is teacher, or whatever you want to call it. But then I also am a photographer, and focusing on that, like editing photos, uploading to website, creating website, whatever, that is taking away of my focus from being, focused with that. And it's really, once aware of it, I have to laugh. But how much
Yes.
is that unconscious assumption?
Yes, because when you say it, for me, it's the complete opposite.
Yeah.
For me, it's when I see your photos, the pictures you take, the energy there is so much in it that is earth, that is the teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And isn't it because we separate us a lot as from the focus? When you are up with one thing, you can't be there because your focus is here. Oh yeah.
It's not
And
possible to multitask.
no, and I was made a lot of wrongness came into my world about that, because yeah, my mother always said, you don't finish things because you aren't focused on one thing. You have to do one thing at a time, and you start and you finish, and then you start again and you finish. And it was always making my world smaller, and I couldn't get it. So I made myself wrong for it, because definitely I was the wrong one.
Yeah.
I assumed that I was the wrong one. So this brings me to another thing. When we assuming, we don't ask questions.
Yeah.
But then,
just
go.
the overall energy of our conversation right now, how much of our assumptions has to do with somehow being wrong?
What do you really mean with that?
Yeah, we just talked, you have to focus on one thing, and when you're done with that, you can do the next thing. There is an implicit judgment of wrongness.
Yeah.
if we don't do it? You know, how much are we judging ourselves by not fitting in and doing the things in the way we're supposed to be doing? There is an implicit wrongness. How much, on the other hand, then being so convinced that our inventions are correct, that anything that doesn't fit that is wrong. So there is, I sort of, I see an underlying red thread of wrongness going through all of it.
Yeah. Or it is your own wrongness, or it is
Yeah.
proven the wrongness of the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's huge.
We just got a
Wow.
question in. Can you please speak more to proving things to yourself? And how much proving things to myself, how much do I find evidence out there to prove that something is so? How much do I find arguments? And I can find arguments by talking with other people, by reading books, by taking classes, etc., that this is how things are. And I'm utilizing that to prove something to myself, which not necessarily is so. And for me, proving to myself in regards to the earth is basically through observation. I observe what is going on. I observe how the seasons are changing. I observe how animals are acting. That I can see, oh, this is how it is.
Yep.
Because animals don't think.
No,
they know.
Don't. They know. Yeah, but we doubt our knowing. So we have to go and get the proof from our wrongness or rightness. I was still am, because I'm aware that it is still somehow in my reality, in my world, is proving my wrongness, but from acting in the opposite, like controlling and standing for my right. But often when I went into the question, I became aware and I could acknowledge that standing for my right most of the time was proving myself how wrong I am.
That is one thing. And also, on the other hand, are we proving something because we already have assumed or concluded that the opposite is true for us?
Yeah.
And so we find little arguments to prove.
Yeah. Proving is always going outside yourself.
Yeah.
With the ways you want to go, or it's through a conversation with another person, or it is reading something, or it is really going into the internet and looking for what you are searching as a proof. But is it that proving ourselves comes from that we grow up with we have to prove our right? Yeah. Wow. And wow, And also what's coming up now is the school system, how
Uh-huh.
that is based on the proof of the right. Because the questions you receive there is to get the right answer. If
Exactly.
you don't get the right answer, then you are wrong. Then you
Well,
are not good enough. So we have to prove again that we are, but we
yeah.
don't believe any longer in ourselves. Wow, this is an
And how much
insane.
do we have, just the basic, you have to prove your argument.
Yeah, yeah,
And how much is that the necessity within the school system, the necessity to prove your argument, preventing people from doing 180 because they wouldn't be able to prove, so they're not going there.
yeah.
But what might
There
be
you
about the 180-degree difference?
there you are saying something really interesting, Karina. You said like you aren't or they aren't able to prove. And isn't it all about it?
Mhm.
There is nothing ever able to be proved because there is only existing. Every energy is. There is no competition between one molecule and another that says, oh, but now that air is for me because I need that light and that air to grow. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
And
Nature
how do you
never
prove
proves.
energy? How
Yeah,
do you prove
yeah,
energy that I'm
yeah.
perceiving that kind of energy that tells me blah, 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 because I'm willing to perceive that energy, but that doesn't go through your head? And then how do you prove it if it's not going through your head?
Wow. And that brings for me also, so when you speak about something that isn't visible or you can't prove that it exists, then you are the same insane one. Then
Yeah,
you are not normal.
yeah,
And then we have to prove again that we are normal, that we are
we're
present with
sane.
that we can. And then we turn around and
There's
around
the other
and around
perpetual
and
go, merry-go-round.
yes. Wow. Wow. Oh
We
my
are
God.
crazy.
Yes. But this, I wasn't really prepared, assumed prepared in which way this energy extends and
Mhm.
how it
Me
is
neither.
really driving our lives. We
And how
can't
much?
thrive. We can't thrive when those energies drives our life.
Yes. And it's also because it's actually how much energy are we expending in order to prove?
Yeah.
And therefore, actually, because you ultimately can't prove, it's total waste of energy, which is not life sustaining. The earth, does the earth waste energy?
Wow, and really, Karina, this is a really expanded, extended energy. I wasn't aware of that it rules our life in this
Mhm.
way. How it contributes, yeah, to the insanity. Wow.
And that, in a way, gets me to go back to more in the beginning. How does the earth do it?
Yeah.
To look at that and to really observe and being present with it.
And the first thing that comes for me, Karina, here is ease. The ease, the glory, the joy is available. We are. And we refuse to receive. We refuse to be also. And getting even more now. It's something like yesterday or 2 days before, it was so loud in my world and so clear that so little people on earth are willing to choose joy, are willing to go for ease, really willing to explore it even. Explore it even. And this brings me to that. So, yes, now in this second, I can say, wow, I was willing to go and explore ease and to choose ease. But now with our conversation, I can say, what the heck? Even that was a lie. Because, what I assumed that I chose it. But no way. No way, because there is so much more to let go of.
A few years ago, I caught myself thinking, boy, that was easy. And catching myself, I realized that why I'm commenting as this being special versus this being normal. And indirectly, implicitly, if I have to make that statement, am I really allowing ease into my life? Or am I fighting it?
Yes. Yes.
You know, and what are we entrained to? I mean, you can have joy and ease when you're a kid. But once you become a teenager to adult, the seriousness sets in, and we just have to buckle up and work, and no pain, no gain. I mean, those are all entrainments that we've all been subject to, maybe with cultural differences in the phrasing, but with the ultimate message still probably being the same.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Wow. And how much, that's a question that comes up now. How many of the psychic diseases, mental diseases even, coming from that proving that you can be as a child. There is that joy, but you aren't allowed to have that joy, or what you are aware of.
It's not correct.
Yeah. And it's on top, on top, on top, on top, on top, on top. Wow.
Until you know, for some people, I would say they might break under that burden of everything being piled on them.
Yeah. 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 And we see it happening now also as the collective indoctrination nearly that's going on is,
But that's
when you don't
and always has been.
But now it's in
becomes obvious.
Scale. Yes, it becomes real, and it is. And even now, when you stay with what you know, when you go with whatever you choose, when it's not in the line of the indoctrination, then you are again the insane one. You are really, yeah.
Or the conspiracy theorist.
Oh, that.
Because he
But
has
it
a
goes
different opinion
worse.
than everybody else.
But people has to be fear for you, because you are then the one who kills those others. You are the dangerous one. Let me laugh. Let me laugh. If it is like that, I am proud to be a weird one. I am really willing to receive every judgment around that, and being the dangerous one for others. I am willing to be it. No problem.
And let me quickly, for people, give the definition of what weird actually means. Of spirit, fate, or destiny.
Yes.
Now apply that.
Yes. But we don't have to prove it.
No. That is, on the other hand, are you willing to be who you are?
Yeah. Yeah, because this one, that proving, it was for a long time the energy that pulled me back to be truly me, and choosing more of me, because I thought, yes, but I have to prove my weirdness, and then I have to prove also that weirdness has truth in it, and that proving that truth is who I'm truly am, and then proving, it was also like on top.
Yeah.
When you acknowledge the insanity of that, because it's never possible to prove anything, whatever it is.
Nope.
Whatever it is.
And is, for instance, just because it pops this way, is a zebra trying to prove that it is a zebra? And trying to prove that the actions that it takes as a zebra are the correct ones.
Yes. Oh, yes. Perhaps they have a notebook when they go home.
I forgot that part. Yes.
Yeah, perhaps. Because I know people that are they journaling everything that happened in their life. I'm journaling also, but questions and asks. It's something slightly different, but really journaling for having the proof in case of. It's insane.
And even the question, I mean, I journaled for years, and there are 2 journals that still exist. One was a travel journal about experiences on a trip, and the other one is my last journal that only has a few pages in it. All the other journals in between I burned because I didn't want that energy that I was coming from.
Yeah.
The sob stories, the trauma and the drama, and oh, how wrong can I be? And why is this not working? And the world is so against me. Whatever it is, we journal about. But how much are we truly journaling, acknowledging our greatness, acknowledging the miracles we are creating? That would be a different kind of journaling.
Yeah. That I started to do, and asking about energies and the movement, journaling the movement. And you love making pictures. I know you love to play with photos and making photos and capturing, yeah, not a perfect picture, but you know what I want to say. And something that always was for me is like, I didn't had the need of having pictures, but it was not a kind of the nature pictures, but pictures of me, of my family, brothers,
Mhm.
sisters, even my children. It
Yeah.
was always something like, I have now 2 or 3 photos of my grandchildren, and every time I look at them, it's like, but who are you today? I ask the picture, because a photo of ourselves, it's in that moment. And we are changing so much, even though those who think they don't choose or they don't change, we change every day again. We
I'm
do.
sorry, Jane. And that was really something that struck me when a scientist told me that it's change is not natural, so to speak.
Oh,
I mean, my ex-husband
wow.
told me that I broke the marriage promise by changing.
Wow. Apply
And
this to
I just
nature.
thought, look out in nature. Change is a constant. It's a given.
Yeah. If
So
change wasn't natural, we weren't here now.
here, there is there is one moment in nature where there is no change.
Tell
And
me.
that's if we use our language, it's the moment of death. Like a tree falls. In that moment, once it's down, there is no change. And then change starts again because the tree starts decaying and the animals come in and all of that. But there is
But
that
is it
one
then,
moment.
is that the still point you were referring to?
You could call it a still point, but it's just a
Or the
momentary.
turning point? Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just a momentary event. It's not a natural, continuous, thing. Because after that, as I said, change happens again.
Yeah, for that it's nearly not notable, that
Yeah.
point of change. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. What a conversation. So much energy, so much that it brought up. Wow. Thank you,
Well,
Karina.
thank you, Marianne. I like how we bounce off each other.
Yes. So let me say, I will choose for myself to
Mhm.
to be more present with where I am assuming, what I am assuming. Yeah, everything. Yeah, it's something I will choose this week to go with, and we will see next week what
Yeah.
will be the subject.
And for me, it's been a fascinating experience to hear my thoughts,
Yeah,
to perceive the energy of that thought.
yeah. And isn't it interesting because, yeah, the subject comes not knowing where it will lead to or where it will take us
Yeah.
to. And so, yeah, I love this. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Until next week, same time, same place. And thanks for joining us. We really appreciate
Yes.
your presence.
See you next week. Bye
Bye bye.
bye. Take care.